So we're all together. We share this dream, like a common field of perception. The same planet, different towns, different homes, different friends, but more or less the same. We're all sharing the same dream. And within this dream, within this experience, within this waking dream, somehow we are looking for something. And we all are looking in our own way, in our own personal way. It's for each one of us to really figure it out, but we get together here because somehow our paths are crossing in a mysterious way. You know. Welcome. We may have a story about how we have arrived to be here. But it really doesn't matter. Here we are. Something somehow drew us to come here. Something within us. Maybe something we read or we heard or we saw something on YouTube or a friend talked to us and somehow it brought us to come here. Since I'm sitting here speaking, truly what I'm sharing with you, what always I will be sharing with you and what I have been sharing with you since the time we have been meeting is not something that can be put in words, although there are a lot of words that we share. We could say the peace of being, an inner tranquility. I'm always speaking about the same thing. In the depth of our being, we are looking for peace and happiness. In everything we do, we are looking for peace and happiness. And because somehow we have identified ourselves with this particular body-mind, we are looking for a personal, for a peace and happiness for me, a personal peace and happiness. And we've been looking for many years, knowingly or unknowingly. And it's true that on occasion, we do feel the peace and happiness that has no cause. But then it doesn't last. We are back. Online, if you could please mute your mic. So in order to realize the peace and happiness that does not come and go, you need to turn your attention towards the reality of your experience, and not towards the mind, not towards thinking, not towards thoughts and perceptions, not towards feelings and sensations and emotions. You need to turn your attention towards what is it that is real in your experience. No one can discover that on your behalf. Only you can. And that would be the only meaningful, the only significant understanding or discovery is your own. When you look at your experience, you will find mostly thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. Memories, feelings, thoughts, images, perceptions, the world appearing to you, and the body appearing to you as sensations, mostly as sensations. And we believe that that is what is real. And so, because we honor reality, we do our best to maintain our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, and our perceptions, maintain them coherent, keep them coherent. But over and over we fail at that because the body is constantly changing. Sometimes it's ailing. The world is constantly changing. It's beyond our control. For some time it seems to be functioning really good. And then maybe a recession comes and it goes to pot very quickly. As of our thoughts, goodness gracious, it's like a bees around a beehive, constantly buzzing, good and bad, this is better, Why did I do this yesterday? Why did she do this? What's going to happen to me tomorrow? So in your experience, thoughts, sensations, and perceptions, they are appearances. They appear to you. The you that perceives is not something that you can perceive. Right now, whatever it is that hear these words is not something that you can perceive. You can perceive the instrument of hearing. You can perceive the instrument of sensing by looking at the body. But you cannot perceive that which perceives. Because that which perceives is not a form, is not phenomenal. But when you ask yourself, or you ask anybody in the street, who are you? They will 99% of the time point to the body, and they will point to their history, to the history of the body. They may speak about their family, they may speak about their religious group or their political affiliation, they may speak about their village, they may speak about where the body was born. Rarely will you find somebody answering you to the question, who are you? Rarely, very rarely will you hear somebody answering, I don't know. Somehow there is a fear about I don't know. We hold on to some identity that we feel is us, which is made up of a lot of memories and thoughts and beliefs and opinions, images. We hold on really tightly to that throughout our life. We live with that grasping. And of course, when you look closer, you will find that you also often engage in protecting, defending, justifying that set of images and feelings and beliefs that you have a strong feeling is you. Sometimes you will find yourself arguing, even engaging into all sorts of conflicts on behalf of this person that you have a strong feeling and a strong sense that it is you. And then there is also then the ownership the whole thing about ownership, which means gain and loss. We experience that in our life. We are happy when there is a material gain or some sort of gain. We gain an experience, we gain something. We experience gain and loss. And we also experience right and wrong. Mostly we are right and somebody else is wrong. But we experience right and wrong, good and bad. And there are a lot of emotions that we experience throughout our life as a result of this, what I refer to mistaken identity. And at some point in our life, we get a glimpse that we are like trying to maintain this structure by constantly patching the holes. Like you have like a jar that has a lot of cracks in it. You're constantly trying to patch the holes. You start to get an inkling that it's not happy. It just can't be that this existence that we are manifesting here in the human form, and it's just unhappy, and I mean, okay, with moments of happiness, yes, but overall, we kind of cope with it. Maybe we resign ourselves, but it's still not happiness. Even if we are great at resigning ourselves, because that's one of the ways we cope sometimes. Everything that you experience, that you feel is personal. In fact, it is not. Because you are adding to your experience a person that is experiencing. You are adding to your experience a past and a future. And this past and this future, which you are adding via your thoughts and your belief, and via, let's say, a download that we are inherited, a download we have inherited. So there is this added doer, subject, person, chooser, while in fact, when you look for that, you will find only thoughts and images and memories. You will not find, in fact, an actual person. And it's very scary for the mind that has been living with the belief and the feeling that I'm a person. It is very scary for the mind. So the mind will argue that, yes, the person is here, and will most often point to the body. So this is the body, and that's the person, and you know that you are this person. Because the mind, meaning thoughts, cannot perceive the reality that perceives it. Thoughts only arise in perception, meaning there is something that perceives the thought, that knows the thought. And that something that knows the thought is not a thought. The thought is not self-knowing. It is an object of knowledge. So the thought arises simultaneously with its knowingness, meaning a thought without knowingness is nothing there. The reality of the thought is not the thought. The reality of the thought is awareness, knowingness. Like right now, the reality of this hearing, of this perception, is the awareness of the perception. The awareness and the perception arise simultaneously. It is not that the perception or the sound or the thought is floating around in space and awareness is looking for it and suddenly finds it. It's not like that. That's not our experience. Our experience is not that there is a thought somewhere floating around in space and that one day we will find it. Our experience is a thought and awareness arise simultaneously. For example, the thought, it's a lovely day today, arises simultaneously with the awareness it is aware of that thought. Otherwise you couldn't even speak that thought. You couldn't even say, it's a beautiful day today, if you were not knowing of that thought that is arising. So in fact, when you say it's a beautiful day today, simultaneously there is the arising of the thought intimate with awareness and the speaking of it. But when you look at your experience, and you look for the thought, it's a beautiful day today, you will find that right now that thought is not there anymore. The next thought that's there is somebody needs to mute their mic. You know, it's a different thought from it's a beautiful day today. So that thought, it's somebody needs to mute their mic, it's not there anymore right now. But what remains? What remains, irrespective of the thoughts that keep changing, is awareness. So if you can somehow turn your attention to that, not so much to what you are perceiving. There is no problem with what you are perceiving, with the object of perception. It's not a criticism of appearance. It is an invitation to turn your attention, because you can do that. Rather from the thought and the next thought, the next thought, just invite yourself to turn your attention to the awareness, to the I am aware. I am aware. To the I am aware. It is always available to us, the I am aware, because that never goes. The weather changes, the body changes, the thoughts change, the political situation in the world changes. But the I am aware, the I am, that is always there. Always as it is, completely pure, like the wide open space in which the clouds appear, in which planets appear. It is not diminished or augmented or affected in any way by the perceptions, the thoughts, and the sensations that arise. Cannot be hurt or damaged or impacted in any way by whatever appears. And when we speak of awareness, we are speaking of I am aware. This is not like some theoretical doctorate thesis that we are writing about awareness and where does it reside, where does it come from, blah, blah. No, it is just the simplicity and the directness of I am aware. It is so clear and so clean and so simple that any person anywhere on this planet, you can invite them to I am aware. And if they're interested, immediately they will go to it. They do not need to study Advaita or to do any complicated yogas or to practice very powerful mind appeasing practices. They don't have, and you don't have to either. Directly, you can go to I am aware. And this I that I am aware, when you look at the I and the I of awareness, you will not find that awareness is contained in any container. You will not find that it's, oh yes, it is the awareness. Awareness is inside this room or is outside this house. You will not find the dimension of space that is defining it, nor will you find the dimension of time. Because you cannot say when you look in your experience, when I ask myself, I am aware at 5:08, and you ask the question again at 6:10, that at 6:10 the I am aware is different from the I am aware at 5:08. It doesn't get more. You don't become more aware with time or less aware with time. It's independent of that. You don't become more aware by practicing awareness. There's not a more aware. There's not possibility to increase the space in the space. Because the space has is not a jar. You can increase the amount of oil that you put in a jar. If you put in 1 liter and it's a 3-liter jar, you can still add 2 more liters to that jar of oil. But awareness is not a jar, you see. You cannot increase to spaciousness or wholeness or awareness, more awareness, or nor can you remove from it less awareness. There is no proprietary aspect to awareness. And that's very beautiful. It's very beautiful. That means the I that is awareness is not bound within time and space, you see. This does not imply that the body or that the oak tree or that my cat is not bound by time and space. Of course they are. They have to eat at a certain time. The body has to be fed by the time, has to rest so many hours, etc. But we are talking about that which perceives the body, which perceives hunger, which perceives the sensation, that which perceives, not that which is perceived. So the entire, we refer to spiritual journey, fancy word. The entire spiritual journey is very simple. It's about realizing that your true identity is right there, the awareness that you are, and not what thoughts and feelings say you are. Thoughts and feelings, they refer to the body-mind. They are not knowing of you that perceives them. Because when you are perceiving an object, you know the object, but the object that you are perceiving, even if it's a very fancy thought, the object that you're perceiving does not know you. It is a one-way. The knowingness is one way. Only the source is knowing. The object, even if it's a very beautiful thought or philosophical thought or a spiritual thought, it's still an object. Even if it's a subtle object, it's still an object. Even if it's a very fancy spiritual experience of I saw God, it's still an object. You see, the object is not knowing of you. You are always the knowingness. You, awareness. You, consciousness. You, beingness. You, presence. You, the Brahman. See, the invisible, transparent, knowing awareness, presence. That is the I. Yes? So the spiritual journey is not a complicated journey into so many sadhanas and so many yogas and so many meditative practices and so on. It only requires one thing, your interest in truth. Your interest in truth. And if your interest in truth is hot and strong and powerful, the truth is going to respond and come to you. So I have a few questions that were sent to me, but I don't know if I'm going to have the time to get to them, because I would like for us to spend some time together, whatever questions, whatever observations, experiences, anything that you want to look at together, we can do that together, yes? So any questions, anything you want to? Yes, Andrew. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. I may have to repeat your question after you say it, because the mic from the laptop is not powerful enough to. Okay, just want to share that with you. Oh, okay, sure, thank you. This way. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
question is, I hear what you say about the I is not bound by, the I that I am is not bound by form. However, in my experience, it appears that, especially with the recognition of this, I seek to express myself fully in form,
Mm-hmm.
in a boundless way, in a
Yes.
fearless way.
Yes.
However, this comes against take a situation where, let's say, somebody has this realization and their being seeks to express itself in a certain way, but they are bound by a physical limitation, for instance.
Yes.
Or somebody seeks to express himself, but they are like a prisoner or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
How does that? I'm having trouble reconciling those two things, the seeking to express oneself fully in form, but having like an actual limitation in form.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
What would one do?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. And thanks for coming over, so I don't have to repeat it. I don't know if I would have been able to repeat it, but I understand your question. You see, there is no doubt, we are all quite aware that the body, mind is a limited form, is a limited instrument. In terms of our capacity to express via language or via action, and the freedom of the body is not limitless. It is limited. We can only jump so high. We can only eat so much. We can only stay awake for so long, etc. So that's no-brainer. I mean, really. And sometime, maybe even maybe oftentimes, then there are some particular additional stresses that come upon the body, additional limitations. You mentioned somebody maybe being imprisoned, or there could be an ailment to the body, or there could be a financial situation that prevents you, that limits your freedom in the world, to etc. Or some emotional things that happen in relationships that limit you. That's also, you all know that. But what's important to understand is that whatever limitations occur in the body or in the world, they are applied to the body and to the world. But they do not apply to awareness. I use the word consciousness awareness intermittently, so don't mind. People who are new here and you hear me say consciousness, you say, oh, well, he was talking about awareness before. I used consciousness / awareness as one word. So that when you're aware of the perception, the experience of your body, looking 2 legs, 2 arms, there's an awareness of this perception. What would happen to the awareness, Andrew, if you look down and there's one arm, let's say you had, God forbid, an accident, you lose 1 arm. Now you are perceiving 2 legs and 1 arm. The question is, what has happened to awareness? Nothing, you see. So now you are living, you have a home where you live and a job or whatever you do, you come and go. Let's say that things change in the world and we can no longer drive cars, now we have to walk because of oil shortage or whatever. The same question applies. What has happened to awareness? Nothing. But there's been a dramatic change at the body-mind level, at the world body-mind level. There's been a dramatic change. It depends how you take it, you see. Maybe it's not dramatic, maybe it's a very happy change. But there's been a significant change at that level. But the question is, what has been the significant change for consciousness, for awareness? Nothing. So the capacity, although the capacity of the body-mind can alter significantly, it is important to understand that are looking at what happens to consciousness and awareness. Not what happens to the world when there is a war. What happens to the body when there is a disease. What happens to the thoughts when I'm intoxicated, meaning the body is intoxicated. That's not what we are looking at. Now you may ask then, well, why aren't we looking at what happens to the body? And instead we are looking at awareness. And this answer is relatively simple. Because we already know the body is like the weather. One day it is sunny, a few hours later we don't know, maybe some heavy clouds. Then a few minutes later, the clouds have changed in form and shape. We know very well that you have a beautiful oak tree in the garden. You come back in 500 years. What happened to the oak tree? There is no more oak tree. We already know that that dimension is what is referred to as the dimension of impermanence, meaning it is constantly in a flux. Like in your night dreams, when you are dreaming at night, and you are perceiving a healthy pink flying elephant. A few minutes later, you are a butterfly, you say. You know that. But what we are looking at is, what is it that is real? What is the reality? Why do we ask what is reality? Because right now, even though this could be a dream, that somebody is dreaming, this whole thing, this whole me, you, and all this conference could be a dream that somebody is dreaming out there, right? It could be. Even though this could be somebody's dream, there is a reality to it. It is not nothing. So we ask, what is the reality of our experience? What is it that is real? Because there is a real and there is imaginary. There is like a halfway real. It is either it's real or it's not real. Either it's true or it's not true. Okay? So reality is not a belief. A belief could be that the earth is flat, you say, or that earth is the center of the universe. That's a belief. What is real is not a belief. It's not a product of thought. It's not something that you can discover phenomenally. You don't go out digging, the center of the earth to find reality. You don't find reality that way. Reality only is available to you via your contemplation. And because we know intuitively that there is only one reality, and if there are questions about that, please feel free to ask them. We know intuitively that there is one reality. Therefore, that which is looking for reality must be real, because something that is not real cannot look for reality. What would that be? Like Santa Claus is looking for reality? It would mean nothing, because whatever Santa Claus is going to find is going to be in Santa Claus's mind. It's going to be as illusory or as real as that which is finding it. You see? So only reality can find reality. You see? Something less real than reality cannot find reality. How could it? You see? So therefore, that which is looking is that which is which is looking for. That which is looking is that which it is looking for. They are not two. You see, that's very interesting, because it stops the mind. The mind goes, what do I do with that? Nothing. You can do nothing with that. The mind can do nothing with that. Because this understanding is beyond the mind. And then the mind stops trying to find a trick, says, wait a minute, let me see what I can do. Come with me. I don't know where he wants to take you. And you don't go with that. You don't go with that. Then the mind will surrender to truth. In our life, our mind is not surrendered to truth. Our mind is surrendered to thinking and to feeling. and to perceiving. We are swayed, but we are swayed by phenomena. We are swayed by thoughts. We are swayed by perception. We see a beautiful Maserati. We're swayed. We see a beautiful pair of shoes. We want it. We are swayed by the world, body, mind. You see. Because we haven't yet come to the contemplation of what is the reality of our experience. And so the mind is roaming wild. You see. But I am not talking about bringing the mind to the peace. I am talking about the direct path to go directly to your true nature, to go directly to I am aware. I am the knowingness. I am that which knows. Everything else comes to that. Like a magnetic field in the core, it is the core doesn't go following the iron. It's just by its electromagnetic field within itself, all comes to it. All the iron filings come to it. Boom, zinc, like that. So, but you, that's the contemplation, you see. That's the contemplation. So it is not a concern so much about what is happening at the body-mind level. If I understood your question correctly, it is to realize that irrespective of all what arises in the realm of the arising, awareness, that which does not arise, is not affected, does not come and go, is not augmented or diminished. That's an important understanding. And you need to keep coming back to this understanding. So that this understanding, in a way, let's say, roots itself, steadies itself, and steadies itself enough so that you can live it. You see, you cannot live it. It cannot be lived until it has a certain degree of stabilization. You see, like a car, you need to have the 4 tires on it. But even though the pressure should be 36 psi in an ideal tire, even if you have it at 24 psi, it's a little bit soft, you can still drive. You see, you can still drive. So slowly, it will get to 36 psi, and then you will find how beautiful it maneuvers. So there are the currents of our conditioning that will be pulling us back into our reactivity, into our concerns about the world, about the body, about the health, about it. There will be currents, forces that they're always around. They're pulling you into the concern about the form, into the concern about the future, into the concern about your money, into the concern about your partner, etc., your children. There will be that force. And that force cannot be fixed at that level. You cannot try to free yourself from your concern about your body, or your concern about your children, or your concern about your money. You cannot. You'll just be shifting the concerns. You'll have less concern about your health, then you'll have more concerns about your money. You'll have less concerns about your money, then you'll have concern about the political situation. God knows what. It moves this way. If you really want to address the whole dimension of those concerns, you need to contemplate the truth. What is it that is real in my experience, and is always in my experience, is I am aware. The awareness that I am. It is a very, very powerful, very, very simple, and very, very direct, and very, very disponible, available to us. Yes, Andrew? Yes? Yes. Yeah.
I like the tire analogy.
The
I
tire.
like the tire analogy.
Yes.
Sometimes you know, just to realize it, yeah, I'm only at 22, you know,
Yes.
and that it doesn't ride quite as well.
Yes.
As it gets stronger and stronger.
Yes. Yes. By the discrimination of the real versus the unreal. What is it really is real? Because, you know, one could say we have lived so much already pursuing the impermanent, pursuing being so concerned about what they refer to in the scripture as the unreal. I'm not trying to downplay the world. It's perfect, you know. We have to attend to the world. But to place the bulk of our attention in that direction without putting the attention towards what am I truly is a big mistake we have committed in the human condition. So the invitation is there. The invitation is there. There isn't anybody who is like personally guilty. You see, it's not that we are guilty because we don't know. How can you be guilty if you don't know? You don't know. But at some point, a message comes to you and you understand it. Something you understand. There's something, a kernel of truth that touches you. And that's a very revolutionary time when there is that glimmer of light, you know. And so we value that. Like in the miners, you know, the mining in the old days, they used to go to Colorado by the river, and they would go through the sieve with a lot of sand by the river. Hours and hours in the water, blah, blah, until they find a little kernel of the gold. And they had a little bag, and they put it in a little bag. And that was very, very precious for them. They always knew where that bag was, you see. Maybe they forgot where the sieve was, they forgot where the shovel was, but the bag, they knew where the bag was. This is how we were valuing gold, freaking gold. I mean, you know, I'm talking about the causeless peace, the bliss of the self, the happiness that is not depend on the gold. There's nothing wrong with gold. It's beautiful. Nothing, nice gold ring or whatever. It's fine. So to cater and to nurture what has been gifted to you, because it is gifted to us, gifted to me, gifted to all of us. The wisdom. We say the wisdom of the sages, but in fact it's also gifted to them. It's gifted to us. In religious term, they say gift from God, you know. An invitation from God. In religious term, they say that. So it's more than gold, you say.
Gift is that we already have it. It is who we are.
Yes.
We spend so many years trying to find it out there.
Yes. Yes. But we do have to find it within us. We have to, although it is what we are, but we are, I am awareness. We understand that, maybe. It has to become established as our being. Yes.
And, during what we might call that transition period, when the fires are reaching full inflation.
Yes. Yes.
The thoughts will arise, and you're saying that you're aware of wisdom. But is it easy for you, in your experience, to distinguish between the thoughts that are arising from awareness, the insights that are arising from awareness, as opposed to thoughts that are the thinker?
Yes. 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 So the question is, repeating the question. So the question is, let's say, how do we distinguish between thoughts that are arising from awareness and thoughts that are arising from the personal self or from the download, the conditioning? Yes, that's the question, right? Yes. There is a very simple, so simple rule of thumb. Rule of thumb? Is that the expression? It is very simple. Hint, a very simple hint. But you have to sort of apply it and see how it works for you. But it's a very simple hint. All thoughts, since we're just talking about thoughts, that arise from the personal self leave an unhappy residue. Actually, they are accompanied with an unhappy residue or an unhappy reverberation within the body-mind. All thoughts, that arise from the personal self, me, what's happened to me, what's going to happen to me, what will happen to me, why did she do this, what's going to happen to my mother, my daughter, my car, my money, I hope I'm going to get that promotion tomorrow, you name it. That's referring to me as the body-mind, okay, has within it, in the body, a contraction. It's unhappy. Any thoughts that come, using religious term, from God, that come from beyond, that come from grace, that come from consciousness, are sweet. For example, it'd be lovely to go walk on the beach. It's just sort of the feeling came. Sweet. But then if it's followed by the thought, well, if I don't go, I'm going to have a really bad day, a miserable day. Now that thought comes from the personal self. Now your happiness as what? As me. Depends on going to the beach or not. You see. It's so there are personal conditions. And there's a personal interest, desiring. An interest can be innocent. I'm interested in being together, in having satsang with friends. That's beautiful. But desire is, my happiness depends on it. I'm desiring. Desiring is postponing, is placing a condition upon an object that will make your happiness. You see. And these sorts of thoughts, they have an unhappiness with them, because although it is telling you, oh, well, when I will be enlightened, it's going to be really great, it's also telling you in a small script, you're not enlightened now, and you are, I don't know, less, whatever. You say, that's a small script, you say. But we have to turn our attention, let's say, to, so we scan the body. So there is a scanning, there's an interest in looking, well, about the unhappiness. And you sense it, and you don't follow up, you see. For example, that, oh, I'm thinking, oh, he's enlightened, I'm not enlightened, I'll be enlightened tomorrow if I do this and that, and you feel the unhappiness. Then you contemplate, what is it like to let go of this thought? Because in a way, in fact, you don't need to let go of the thought. Why? Because the thought is already gone. You see, it's a holding on or repeating the thought, repeating it. Because it's actually gone. It's actually gone. And when you realize that it's gone, you will find that the trace of unhappiness within you is gone too. But then when you bring it back somehow by repeating it, or by bringing its sister or the cousin of that thought, or the whole family that belongs to that thought, then you're going to experience the whole family of the unhappiness within your bodies. So the thoughts that come from God, they have with them the beauty, the love, the peace, the freedom, the wisdom, the joy, the embrace, the patience,
Always impersonal as well.
and they're always impersonal. In fact, everything is impersonal. Because you could say that, well, these things here, they don't belong to Santa Claus, you know. They are impersonal, they don't belong to Santa Claus. In fact, everything is impersonal because Santa Claus is a figment of your imagination. There isn't, in fact, a Santa Claus. So the personal aspect is imaginary. But we have to look at that over and over. And the way to look at it is to realize that everything that appears to the I awareness. And that is the reality of everything that you experience. Every perception refers to I awareness. Because what would be any perception without I awareness?
And you, in the thought, can't you say that any thought that arises is an I thought? Because if you are in between, if you live in between thoughts, then consciousness has no thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so is all thought, that's the question, is all thought the I thought, since consciousness has no thoughts? Okay, so, you know, it's important to understand that we are using language here to speak about something which is not in the realm, in the dimension of language. You know, it's like when you say love. It's a language, but it's referring to something that is real, but is not captured truly in the word or in the explanation. I just want to make sure that you understand. I know you understand that. I just wanted to say. So, in terms of thought, we cannot deny thought. It's silly to say when you're thinking about your mom, you know, how she was, you know, when you were a young boy, a young girl, you know, child, you know, yeah, say, oh no, I'm not thinking of my mom, because I means consciousness, and consciousness does not think, so therefore, you know, I'm not thinking that thought. You see, that would be, it would not be sincere to yourself. So you have to say, yeah, I am thinking about my mother. But the thing is, obviously, we have realized that I means consciousness. I is not the body that I perceive. The body does not think. The body is an instrument. Like the brain is a very, very complex, perfect, beautiful instrument of perception. And it's wired to the whole organism of sensation, of mentation, right? 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 But it's still an instrument, you know, it's an instrument. Because what is it that perceives? It's not the brain that perceives. I perceive, right? It's not the brain that thinks. I think. I perceive the thought. Now, it could be that the brain is acting. 20 billion things are happening to generate the image of my mom. Right? So the brain obviously is very active in the process of the image. But what is it that perceives the image? I perceive it. I always refers to awareness. Without awareness, there is no image. Right? So this is an important distinction. So I say, yes, I am perceiving the thought, but I refers to awareness. So the question becomes, how can awareness, consciousness, which is not a form, it's not like made out of molecules and atoms and electrons. It's not. It's not made out of. How can that perceive a thought? Well, obviously, it's perceiving the thought via an instrument. So God is perceiving the thought via the body-mind. Now you say, well, so it's not the body-mind is perceiving, it's God that is perceiving consciousness or awareness that is aware of the thought via the body-mind. So then you may come to, well, before I go further in that direction, I want to go to the I thought, because that was your question. Not all thought is the I thought. The I thought, by the way, just to clarify how we use this term, I thought is the thought that has in it the belief. Inside the thought, there is a hidden belief, like a pastel color, a hidden belief that I is born. I is something that is born and that is existing in time and in space. So the I thought is a thought within this thought. I refer to it the virus. There is a virus, the virus of identification, meaning within this thought there is the belief that I means awareness, is in fact an object, a form that is born in time and space. You follow? That's the I thought. So not all thoughts are I thought. For example, the thought, it's really lovely to be here. That's a thought. Doesn't have in it the virus. So what is going to happen to me tomorrow has in it the, it is the I thought. It has hidden, it's hidden. Why it is hidden? Because, you know, like when you have a spot on your face, is you have it, but you don't see it. It's like there, you know, we become so familiar with I is this body mind, I is this person, that we would think somebody is crazy if they tell us otherwise. We'd say, you're mad. If somebody tells us you're not the body, you're not this person, you think they're crazy. It's how deeply indoctrinated within the cells, within the cells of the body-mind, within the whole organism, the whole sensory and feeling system is there. It is not just the thought. We don't wake up in the morning, we think, I am the person. We don't need to think that. It's already all wired in, you see. It's wired in. So the I thought is all thought. And sorry to say, in most cases, it is 99% of our thoughts. Well, let me not exaggerate. Maybe 80% of our thoughts are about me. They have the infection. So, no, not all thought is the I thought. We don't need to fix our thoughts. It's very important to understand. It's not working with thoughts and thought control and cleaning your thoughts and pacifying your thoughts. No, it is about understanding, about the understanding. There's an understanding that sort of clears, everything. It's like you don't need to fix this thought and that thought and that thought. You go mad. You need to simply understand that I refers to awareness. And awareness is not personal, is not an object, is not inside of a container, is not male or female, is not big or small, is not more on Tuesday and less on Wednesday, etc. That's really good. And you keep coming back to that. Now, in terms of the phenomenon of thought, via the body-mind, we perceive thoughts. The we that perceive, the I that perceives is consciousness. For example, when you are in your night dream, you create a playground with 4 kids that are playing in the playground, for example. Right? And you, every person in the playground is perceiving from a different angle. One person is on the swing, the other person is in the sandbox, the third person is climbing a tree, whatever. Right? And they're having different experiences. Right? They're not all, the one on the swing is not privy to the games that the person in the sandbox is doing. It's a very particular to that, to her or to him, you see. So there are different thoughts also they are having. One is saying, oh, I would love to go on the swing instead of playing in the sand or whatever. There are different thoughts that are particular to but all those 4 characters, and the playground, and the swing, and the tree, are your creation. Right? Your creation. And via person A, person B, person C, via those 4 characters that you have created in your dream, you are experiencing, in this case, 4 different sets of minds. This is why it's said that all minds belong to the puppeteer's mind. The puppeteer's mind is the one mind, and the infinite minds are in fact the mind of the puppeteer. You see? Also, it goes a step further. It is possible for you in your night dream to dream those 4 characters, and now there is a 5th character that comes in, and that 5th character is you. You decide that, okay, now you are going to be person number 5, and your name is whatever it is, blah blah. Now there is also a particular center of experience. Now, when you decide that you are going to go into the dream and be one of the characters, it is not possible for you to be that character and remember that you are all of them. So you leave, for a moment, whatever is your freedom, maybe for the next 5,000 years, you leave your reality, you leave your, what I refer to, your self-knowingness. You leave your knowingness. You leave yourself, so to speak, because you never really leave yourself, in fact. But as a way of speaking, you see, as a metaphor, you leave yourself. When you leave yourself, then you become this person, John, Mary, whatever we are. And now you are experiencing a personal mind. Now, because you have left yourself, you will no longer know what is in the minds of these 4 other people. You only know what is in your mind. Now you are a body mind. You are identity. You are identified. You have identified. It is part of the freedom of consciousness. Now you may ask, why would consciousness do that? consciousness does that. And I'm not inventing anything, in order to experience what we are experiencing. Obviously, it's not like I discovered, some magical answer to this. Consciousness, why is do that? You tell me. It's because we want to experience this. Consciousness is doing that because it wants to experience this. It wants to experience ignorance. It wants to experience the sense of isolation. It wants to experience the fear of death. The fear of death. We know the fear of death, right? Right? We all are familiar with that. Right? Concern about loss. We all know the concern about loss, right? And the happiness about gain. We all know that, right? So it's not a magical answer. It's very obvious. It's doing that because it wants to experience this. But now, there's something new. Today, meaning now, there's something new. Because now consciousness is interested in having a conversation. It is called satsang, about itself. Now, consciousness who's decided to be this one person, whispered in the ear of that one person, hey, satsang time. Time for you to go and contemplate. What is it that is real? What's really happening? What is really happening? That question, what is really happening? That's it, what is really happening? And consciousness is also has also said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I am here to help you. I am here to help you get it, to help you get it. Okay. Any questions? I promised Rahul that I will answer your question online, Rahul. So let me do that now because I don't know if I can get to the other questions. So Rahul, you wrote, Rupert says, think, act, feel, and do as consciousness. What does it mean? In fact, just a little correction. Rupert and Francis, they say, think, perceive, feel, and act as consciousness. What does it mean? So Rahul, before I speak to what it means, I just want to mention that in order for you to act like a giraffe, you have to know what a giraffe is. In order for you to act, as Marcel Darceau, I think he was a mime, you have to know who he is. Marceau, you have to know who he is. So in order for you to think, to perceive, to feel, and to act as consciousness, you need to know what we mean by consciousness. Now, by consciousness, we are referring to the one reality. Whatever is real right now at this moment that hears these words, that perceives this perception. What perceives is not perceived. It is not an object. Only objects are perceived, so it is non-object. Non-object meaning it has no limitations. It has no me and you. It has no better and worse. It has no good and bad. It has no up and down. It has no, I like this and I don't like that. It has no, oh, I should take care of my business and not take care of somebody else's business. Because we are talking about consciousness. Consciousness is the one reality. So to think as consciousness means not to think as a personal self. To think as a personal self means to give attention to the I thought, which we were talking about before. Means to follow the thoughts that refer to me as a person. That would be the incorrect shepherd to follow. And the correct thought to honor would be the thought that is not infected by me, mine, not her, not him. So that would be in terms of a thought that is according to consciousness. Now, to perceive with the eyes of consciousness. Obviously, if you're perceiving with the eyes of the body, you are perceiving just this perception. And that's my perception. What would be the perception of consciousness? The perception of consciousness would be to perceive with all eyes. So I am perceiving with all eyes. Not just perceiving my perception, but perceiving with all eyes. You may wonder, what does that mean? And there isn't like an actual answer to that question. But the invitation from Rupert and Francis is to open yourself up to the possibility of perceiving globally, not just perceiving from my personal perspective. Right? So everybody that is perceiving is you perceiving. The mind cannot get it, but it's okay. Just be open to the possibility that every perception, every body that is perceiving, it is the eye, the same eye that is perceiving. It does not mean that what is perceived is the same image, the same color, the same shape, but the eye that perceives is the same perceiver. Similarly with the feelings. To feel as consciousness. Consciousness feels everything. Meaning it does not have personal feelings. It's, when there are feelings, it's everybody's feeling. It's not my feeling. We have a tendency when there is a feeling that arises to personalize it. Very, very, it's so fast that you don't even notice it. It's like, it's faster than immediate. It's my feeling. What if the feeling that you're experiencing is not your feeling, but yet you're experiencing it? It's just a feeling that's arising. It belongs to the tribe next door. On the other side of the fence, there is a tribe. and they're in the feeling business. And they have developed this feeling that goes over the fence. And it comes into your space and you're feeling it. Interesting, isn't it? You may think that what I'm sharing with you is a little bit mad, but maybe it's not. Maybe all feelings are impersonal. Maybe you can explore that everything that arises, including feelings, are impersonal. I just want to add one thing about feelings. And feelings, when you look at them a little closer, they have two aspects to them. One is a completely neutral aspect, which we refer to as a sensation. And the other aspect is less neutral, which is the me story. The thoughts, the story that we weave into a pure sensation. Pure sensation is neutral. It's like pinch. But then we say, oh, why is this happening to me? It shouldn't happen to me, blah, blah, blah. So contemplate that consciousness is only in the sensation business, does not add the me story to it. And finally, acting as consciousness. Acting as consciousness meaning you act according to the higher principles of consciousness. Consciousness, which is the reality of being, we know it as love, as peace, as beauty, as kindness, as generosity, as sincerity, as honesty. These are not man-made thoughts. These are aspects of consciousness that we realize, oh wow, we all love beauty, we all love honesty, we all love love, we all love freedom, right? Right? So to live according to consciousness is to live honoring love, beauty, sincerity, truth, freedom in everything that you do and for everyone and everything. So that is what I like to refer to as living with care, or as what I refer to as responsibility. To live responsibly. Responsibly meaning responding to consciousness. The proper response. Every moment is a new choice for you. And every moment you have the option to follow your old patterns of concern and worry and trouble in the personal self or not. So go with the not. Okay. Any questions, anybody? Yes. Online, hello George and Elsa, Esther, iPad, Esther, hello, Esther, Emmanuel. Well, it's 4:30, so thank you all for your lovely company, and thank you for also the friends online. Just want to mention that there is a weekend retreat Saturday and Sunday, July 27 and 28. That would be in 2 weeks. So it'll be all day Saturday and half day on Sunday. The details of the retreat are on the meetup group as well as on my Facebook. I think I have a posting there on my Facebook page. So you're welcome you're welcome to attend if you'd like. Yeah. Okay, goodbye everyone.